Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Jyotirmayananda Society, our journey to self realization. Please subscribe our channel for the mystical meanings and for daily satsang. We are currently studying the book Yoga of Perfection, which is the summary of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, authored by Swami Jyotirmayananda ji, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. So today we will be studying chapter 2, shloka number 63. क्रोधाद् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात्मस्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशाद् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. Meaning, from anger there arises delusion, and from delusion, loss of memory. From the loss of memory, one loses the function of pure reason. From the loss of reason, one heads towards destruction. Explanation: anger promotes increasing tamas or inertia in the mind. The sensitivity of the higher mind is gradually obscured from the view. There is no creative insight. Life becomes burdened with mechanical relationships and boring activities. A person who is unable to control anger and its manifold manifestations in day to day life is moving towards increasing gloom and confusion. As confusion increases in the mind, one is unable to discriminate right from wrong. This leads to the loss of memory of spiritual purpose in life, and the understanding that is gained by the teachings of the Guru, spiritual preceptors, teachers, the studies of spiritual revelations is lost because the memory of the deeper values of life began to fail due to increasing predominance of tamas or inertia. Having forgotten the true purpose of existence, one continues to live a life of increasing entanglement and dependence upon the objects of the world. The shining faculty of reason grows dim, and it is unable to guide one on the mystic path of spiritual movement. This is what is termed as buddhi nash, the destruction of reason. When the guiding light of reason is lost, one is guided by blind sentiments and the instinctive urges of the unconscious. This process leads to increasing entanglements in the world of matter. This is a process of leading to pain, sorrow, and increasing misery. However, there is no total destruction of the soul, so to speak. The term destruction is used to discourage the increasing involvement in the world of matter and to promote increasing devotion of the spiritual values in life. Because if we are in tamas, tamas is what gives us inertia, and that is our downfall. So, if we are tamasic, we should increase our rajas activity, do kirtan, chanting, or go for a jog, walking, um, to distract our lazy mind and turn it into action, and then build it into sattva. Sattva, purity, by listening to satsanga or studying a scripture, chanting the holy name, contemplating. All those are activities that will increase our thought process and will take us on the right path. But if we continue to stay in tamas and stay angry and deluded, then the scriptures say it will be buddhinash, meaning you will pranashyati, it will destroy you and your intellect will get totally um, destroyed, and thereby meaning that you will be caught in the cycles of birth and death. Whereas in this human embodiment, we have the ability to attain self realization or to forever terminate the cycles of birth and death. So, moving on to the next shloka, shloka number 64. We are on chapter number 2 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is his shloka is Ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayanindriyaischaran atmavasyair vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. Meaning, the self controlled sage, though moving among the sense objects with his senses that are restrained and free from attachment and hatred, goes to peace. Explanation. The question that Arjuna asked, how does a self realized sage move among the objects of the world, is being answered by Lord Krishna. When the impressions of raga and dvesha, attachment and hatred, are destroyed by the light of wisdom, a sage is no longer controlled by the senses. Though using the senses in his day to day existence, he is always their master. His reason cannot be taken away violently by the attraction of the sense objects. He keeps the goal of his life, self realization, constantly before his view. His memory cannot be lost. He continues to grow in understanding and discrimination. He is able to differentiate right from wrong. He is able to see the subtle ripples of anger and hatred arising from the depths of the unconscious. He is able to nip them in their very bud. Overpowered by the understanding that the self is the only reality and all objects of the world are nothing but the illusory manifestations of the self through the veil of ignorance, a sage does not harbor thoughts of objects deep within his mind. Therefore, he cannot become attached to them in his day to day life. In the absence of mental attachment, he becomes free from egoistic desires. Thus, though moving among the objects of the world, he continues to tread the path of self realization. Though walking on the fields of duality and multiplicity, his feet are firmly planted in non duality, non dual reality of Brahman, the Absolute. This is why, this is how a sage walks and moves among the objects of the world. Such a sage experiences infinite bliss and peace of the self. So, in contrast, which we read in the previous shloka, someone caught in inertia and tamas can get destroyed, destroys his intellect. On the other hand, a sage with his wisdom and through destroying raga, dvesha, attachment, and hatred, he is able to be established in the self. Moving on to the next shloka, shloka number 65. प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसो याशु बुद्धिः परयवतिष्ठते. Meaning, in that peace of the mind, all sorrows are brought to the cessation because the intellect of the blissful minded sage becomes established in Brahman. Explanation. A yogi ascends the ladder of yoga through the peaceful horizons of samadhi or superconsciousness. He journeys to the divine self, wading through the ocean of peace. When the senses are controlled and the subtler desires of the mind are dissolved, a yogi continues to experience increasing expansion of the divine self. There are 7 stages of samadhi that are experienced by the yogi on the ascending path of yoga. So, I will just name them today and we will study a little bit about each samadhi in tomorrow's satsang. So those samadhis, different types. Samadhi is transcending time and space, meditating, going into a deeper dimension. So they are Savitarka Samadhi, Nirvitarka Samadhi, Savichar Samadhi, Nirvichar Samadhi, Sananda Samadhi, Sasmita Samadhi, and Asampragyat Samadhi. So there are many different kinds of, these are different stages as we evolve on this holy journey of meditation and then going deeper into ourselves. So this is a deep topic and we will cover it in tomorrow's satsang. Hari Om Tat Sat.